Russell Wilson's wife is Sierra. She is a singer and an entertainer. She would prefer to live in New York, and the Giants need a quarterback, and there's nobody in the draft they love.
I personally would love to see him in New York. You give him, with OBJ, Evan Ingram, Saquon Barkley, he could do major damage there. And I think he has the mentality, the maturity, the temperament to handle New York.
Russell Wilson has himself set up, Chris, where his contract expires this year. His franchise tag for next year is in excess of $30 million. The year after that, it's in excess of $36 million. And if they tag him a third time, it's $52 million. And I was told last year, around April or May, after some of these quarterbacks were starting to sign longer-term deals and they were passing up Russell Wilson on the annual average, there's some regret about the deal he signed. There's regret that he didn't do the Kirk Cousins thing before Kirk Cousins and go year to year under the tag. And as of last year, he wasn't inclined to sign a long-term deal and instead let it play out year to year. And if that's the case, there's going to be a point where he's not the quarterback of the Seahawks.
So, Colin Clickbait Cowherd decided this week to drop a mighty big bombshell on us Seahawk fans when he told us about this rumor that Russell could potentially be looking to leave the Seattle Seahawks if he doesn't get the deal that he wants in Seattle.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
All of us Hawk fans, I think, instantly freaked out because we have been down this road before with our superstars leaving. And so we're probably a little bit of PSTD when it comes to this type of news and information. Then we have, of course, all remembered that it was Colin Cowherd who was dropping this rumor and instantly relaxed because it's Colin Cowherd. He's not a news source. He's a guy who lives for stirring the pot. So I was feeling good. The rest of Seahawk Nation seemed to be feeling pretty good because we just took a deep breath and went, okay, he's not going anywhere. This is just normal, contract negotiation ploys and whatnot. I'm sure we'll get through this just fine. Then I woke up that next morning and I was listening to my Brock and Salk in the morning, and Brock Heward had this little tidbit.
Would it surprise you that I've heard this before from Russ's people?
That he wants to go to New York? That Sierra wants to go to New York?
That I have heard these exact rumblings from some of Russ's people that, you know what, if this deal does not get done in Seattle and they can't find a deal, that yes, Sierra loves L.A., she loves New York, she loves that scene, and all you got to do is look at the fact in a week, Russell's going to put on the pinstripes, and he's going to be back for a few days in spring training with who? Mm-hmm. The Texas Rangers, who he began with? Nope. Who's he going to be with? He can be with Aaron Judge and Stanton and the whole crew, right? He can be in New York City because he's going to be walking down the streets of New York, and he's going to be doing his whole marketing deal that he loves to do from February to August anyway, or July. And you're going to see him in New York with the Yankees. That is a fact. And he did leave the Rangers for a reason, because he wanted exactly what Summa Cowherd talks about.
Well, I can easily be convinced that Colin Cowherd would drop a baseless rumor in order to drive up viewership and clicks. I don't think that that's what Brock Heward is doing here. Brock tends to be a fairly well-connected guy to the Seahawk organization. He was an All-American University of Husky quarterback. He was drafted by the Seattle Seahawks. He's been on radio now for 10 years in the morning there. And you get the feeling from time to time that the Seahawk organization will give little tidbits of background information to the morning show in order that they might disseminate those tidbits to the fans in a way to present the Seahawk ownership in a favorable light. So with all this understood, when he speaks on this, he is, I think, giving us truly a tiny little peek behind the curtain. And it's not to say that Russell is going to leave or that this is an indication that the rumors are all true. But I do believe that we in Seahawk land have to give a little bit of pertinence to the fact that Russell may potentially be looking at going somewhere else, and that it's not as ironclad that he is here forever. I hope so. I want nothing more than to see that, but burn me once, shame on you. Burn me twice, shame on somebody else. I don't know how it goes, and I don't care. When in the last 30 years have we seen a Hall of Fame quarterback moved in the middle of his prime? I'll wait. It hasn't happened. Let me skip to the end. It just hasn't happened. So the chances here of this occurring are minuscule at best. Let's go back to last offseason where I think this really all began. You've got the Hawks pushing Darren Bevel out as offensive coordinator and looking to bring a new one in. They have an opportunity at this time to perhaps go to a more pass-centric offense. Maybe go grab one of those dynamic offensive minds out of the college ranks, or perhaps even more of a known quantity from the NFL. Norv Turner type offensive coordinators. Instead, they went a whole different route, which is to say they brought in a run-centric offensive coordinator who was going to continue to double back down on them being the run game the most important part of the offense. You have to think that Russell Wilson at that time was maybe looking at that and scratching his head a little bit. Like, why wouldn't you want to build this more around me? Build the offense as a whole around me. Allow me to throw the ball a little bit more. Get more out of what I can bring to the football field. At the same time this was occurring, you got Russell going into the last 2 years of his deal. And he wants a new contract. This is important because the Seahawks organization, of course, has a hard and fast rule where they will not renegotiate a deal that has more than 1 year on it. The only problem with this, of course, is that they've broken this hard and fast rule in recent years with Chris Clemens and Marshawn Lynch and Michael Bennett. So Russell Wilson had to be seeing that and going, if you're going to break this rule for them, why would you not break it for me? So again, going back to last offseason, in conclusion there, Russell doesn't get the new deal he's looking at, and he sees an offense that's not going to be built around his talents moving forward. Now, the season happens, and then I think we can all agree is a big success, bigger than what we thought it was going to be. The running game was awesome, maybe one of the best in the league. We again look like a team that's on the rise. It was like watching 2012 a little bit, coming back up again. But with that said, even though he did have his best year, you still have to be wondering if Russell didn't look back on last offseason and go, yeah, I had a great year, but I did a lot with a very small amount of attempts given to me. You give me more attempts and I'm able to compete with the big boys, the Patrick Mahomes, the Drew Breeses. All this is very important because as we attempt to forecast what's going to happen in these negotiations moving forward, we have to bring in what's happened in the past. And if Russell's looking at being on a run-centric team for the next 10 years of his career, 5 years of his career, you got to wonder if there isn't a part of him that might want to go to more of a pass-happy offense so that he can truly become the superstar that he wants to be. Now we start hearing these rumors, and maybe it makes a little bit more sense why he might be having a passive eye onto the horizon and about potentially playing somewhere else. Doesn't mean it will happen. It doesn't mean he wants it to happen. It just means that there is a door that is slightly ajar to it happening. And this is furthered when you look at this from the Seattle Seahawks organization standpoint. This is a team that loves to run the football. So in a little bit of a way, that somewhat minimizes the modern day quarterback position for them because he's not going to be asked to throw as much. While at the same time as doing this, they've probably looked at some of the statistics that we've seen where top paid quarterbacks on an average year per basis don't tend to do very well. And you don't have to kind of stretch too far to understand they probably don't do too well because they're taking up a huge amount of the salary cap on their teams. This all came to an apex head, so to speak, last season when you saw the top 7 quarterbacks not only not do decently in the playoffs, but not even make the playoffs. The Hawk organization has to be looking at these statistics with a pretty sober eye and wondering if it's going to make sense for them to pay somewhere between 16 and 20% of their salary cap to a quarterback on a yearly basis. You have to wonder if they're not possibly thinking in the back of their mind that if they can get another rookie quarterback on a rookie deal, that they could allocate those resources into other places to maximize the team in the way they want to maximize it. I don't think that this is the way that this is going to go down. I don't think that we're going to see anything but a contract extension for Russell Wilson. All this stuff is the typical back and forth you probably get with these type of negotiations. But this is an unusual circumstance, and there are unusual factors at play here. Russell Wilson wanting to maximize his brand. The Seattle Seahawks being one of the few teams in the league not actually building an offense around passing the football first and foremost. These type of things kind of run head to head with each other. Bottom line, Russell Wilson isn't going anywhere. In our lifetimes, we have never seen a Hall of Fame quarterback in the middle of his prime be dealt or move away from that team. It just doesn't happen, and I don't think it'll happen here. I think we do see a deal sometime before, let's say, the start of the season, because I don't think that the Seahawks want to get into this franchise tag situation. It's just untenable, especially when you consider the pressure you create year in and year out with that franchise tag continuing to increase at a nonstop rate to the point where it's taking too much of an amount of your cap up and you can't sign other players. But with that said, I think at the end of the day, Russell's too firmly embedded here. The Seahawks organization is too bought in on him for him to go anywhere. So stay calm, Seahawks fans. Sleep well at night. Be concerned but not worried. And know that Russell isn't going anywhere. Thanks for watching the Hawks Nest. You guys have a great rest of your week.